Hi, this is Marlon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be an in-depth look at the Mevo app itself. So let me go over my setup today. I'm using the Mevo first generation camera. It's set up about 24 inches, centered right on my nose. The audio you are hearing is going to be coming from this Heil PR40 mic, and it's recording directly into Reaper. One of the reasons is normally this microphone or another one would be connected to an audio interface connected into the iPad via Lightning cable. However, I'm using the Lightning cable connected to a MacBook just to capture what's happening on the iPad itself. So again, I'm going to be adding this audio in later. But let's begin by looking at the app. So you'll notice we have the app here in the top right corner. We have our program out. And to the right of that, we also have some audio meters. The audio meter there is reading the built-in microphone, and I'll show you how to switch between microphones, some of the options that it does have. But then the program out is what is ever going to be recorded on the micro SD card or what is going out to your live stream. Right now we're recording in 1080, and we do have other options, 4K, but 4K will not allow you to do what I'm going to show you next. So if you look at your iPad or the app, we have this shot of kind of a wide shot of everything. Then you notice there is a red square, a rectangle, and the rectangle is basically whatever is going out to the program. So with my hand, I'm going to use my finger here. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm just going to drag around, and you'll notice that I get to move this crop, if you will, and you'll see it move in the right hand top corner of the program out. Now this is the way the Mevo works. Basically it's this wide angle lens, and in order to get the effect that we're using multi-cameras, panning and zooming, it basically crops the image inside the app. So if you're familiar with photography, you shoot a picture and you shoot wider than you need, and you need to crop it maybe for a 8x10 or a 4x6, or you just want a special part. That's kind of what you're doing, but you're doing it live with video, which is being recorded or being streamed. So this rectangle here, I can grab it with two fingers and I can squeeze it down, and that's about as small as you can get. And then I can go the full screen wide. Now you'll notice when I do this, there's a white one and the red one, and you'll notice that it kind of follows each other. So that's very cool about this. So that is the middle section there. And then I would like you to look at the bottom part. There's a little black type of menu bar on the bottom. It has a little red button, which is my record button. It shows my micro SD card there, the remaining time. It shows how long I've been recording this. And then it has some other icons that we'll get to. So let's look at the first one, which is two arrows pointing out to two lines. That is basically wide shots. If I click it, notice that the rectangle went to full wide. Now this button is only available, again, whenever I would make a smaller crop or a shot here. Otherwise, if it's in full, that's all you get. So the Mevo camera is able to simulate multi-camera shots by, again, cropping. So here's something we can do. Let's set up some of these special shots here. They're called static. So right now I'm going to click and hold right on my nose there, and you'll notice a little box appears, and then it gives me these four icons. One is a plus symbol, a scissor, a rabbit, and a turtle. And I'm going to let go of it. Nothing happened right there, because in order to enact this static shot, I need to do a couple things. So let me show you real quickly what I can do here. I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to click on the rabbit, which is a fast transition. And you'll see how it zoomed in to that shot I kind of established there. But once I click somewhere else, I'm just clicking anywhere on the screen. Notice it's just moving that shot, nothing fancy. There's no transition. So if you would like to, you haven't, let's go back to wide. If you want to create a video where you have a couple things you'd like to highlight, maybe a product on the right side, you can simply click on there and it goes to that shot and go back and forth to the wide. Well, that's one way to do that. Another way is to establish what they call static shots. And you can have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can have about 8 static shots, with number 9 being the full wide. Let me show you how to set up a static shot. Let's pretend that, in this interview, I wanted to focus on the high-end microphone in the bottom corner. So I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to click the plus button. It says New Static Shot. And you'll notice that I have a little red rectangle with a little circle and a little lock on it. That means that's a static shot. So right now, technically, I have 2 shots set up. The one on the bottom right, and if I click the wide, those are the 2 shots. Now, if I want to go back to that static shot, I simply click on that circle. Okay, go back to wide. I can also change that static shot a little bit and make it bigger. So now it's no longer that little small one. Let's make it right about there, and wide. Now, let's see how many static shots we can set up here. Let's make this small again. Let's do a static shot on my ear. And let's do a static shot maybe in the top right corner. Oops, sorry. Static right corner. And another one here. So we have 4 static shots. Now, I'm simply just clicking those static shots to go between them and click the wide. So again, I have 5 shots quickly set up, and this is something you would probably want to do, ahead of the live screen. Let's look at some of those other icons. So if I click on this shot here, notice that it's not going there yet. I can do a transition. I can do a simple cut transition to this static shot. I can do a fast transition, or I can do a slow transition. Let's go to the cut. Boom, it went right there. If I want to go to this bottom one, I click and hold, and I want to go to the fast transition. It just simulates a type of pan. And let's do the turtle slow transition. And it is literally moving very slow. I'm going to grab a drink of coffee while I'm waiting here. And so there you go. How many static shots can we have? Well, we can have, again, up to 9. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's add another one on my eyeball. Add a static shot. One in the top corner here. And do another one here. And another one there. And it won't let me do any more. Okay. Now I can kind of go to this, right? It went to there, but it's not a saved static shot. So again, I have all these static shots, and if I want to move in between them, it can be kind of fun doing this. Let's go to cut. Again, if you want to click on it, you can resize it and do that. Now there is another option. Rather than looking at this screen, let's go to wide, and looking at that, if you go on the bottom, there is a little grid of 6 squares. And if you click on that, it goes into a mode, like a multi-view mode, if you're familiar with video editors or video switchers. So basically you have all these static shots, and basically whatever is red is going to be the program out shot. Okay. Now, unfortunately, in this option, you cannot have transitions. They're basically simply cuts. So I'm going to exit out of there. Let's go to full wide. So that is something new. When I first got the Mevo, this function was not as fancy as it is now, and which is one of the reasons why I've kind of delayed in doing a Mevo app, kind of intensive, showing you a lot about it, is because a Livestream company which makes the Mevo camera was purchased by Vimeo, I think about 2 years ago. And when that occurred, I would normally get some updates for Mevo. They were releasing more functionality to that. About that time, it seemed like they were pumping out updates almost every month or so. It became a little frustrating for me because I'd be ready to do a stream, and the thing had to download the update, and it was just kind of annoying. When I wanted to get going, it made me do that. So, but I will say this about the company and their updates. They're not annoying updates in terms of simple bug fixes. Most of the updates have been increasing the functionality. So again, what I'm showing you today was not possible, a year or two ago. So let's go now to something different. Let's go to the 3 dots. And though this will give us our subset of options here. And so I want to show you this option. Looks like an I with a letter A in it. which stands for Camera Assistant. Now, Camera Assistant will allow you to do a couple things. It's basically letting the Mevo camera and the Mevo app kind of be your production assistant. Literally, a camera person that would normally would switch shots and go back and forth. There's three parts to this. The first one is called Find Faces. And you notice when I clicked on it, it now gives a circle on my face. It recognized my eyes, nose, and all that. And it will track that. So if I go into Live Follow, let's see if I go to a smaller shot here. It's not moving along. I forgot how to do that. But basically, it still tracks, and maybe I'll show it to you a little bit later here how I can do that. Let's go back to Live Follow. Basically, if you have multiple people on there, it'll actually create a special shot based upon that person's face. Maybe because I have too many of these. Let's delete some of these here. Get away. Click and delete. All right. Click and delete. And there goes my face shot. Okay, well, at least it's following me, and I'll show you a little bit later maybe how to make it actual follow the camera. And then we have Autopilot. So what Autopilot allows you to do, it's going to let the camera make the choice when to switch back and forth. Notice that I have actually three static shots right now. Oh, there it goes. You see it moving a little bit? Okay, well, it moved to the full wide here. And notice when I move over here, let's make this a little bit, there you go. You see how the camera moves? Now let's go into the multi-view. You notice I have the face, the static, and the wide shot. And you can still override the autopilot when you do this, but notice how it's moving my face. It's trying to keep that in there. Let's go back there. Oops. Go back to this. Let's tighten this up here, and I'll show you what I mean here. Oop. Face. It should be following me. The camera should be moving. There it goes. You see how it moves? It follows me. Pretty cool. I wanted to show you that. So let's go back to our camera assistant. Again, the camera and the app is choosing when to do that. So it's nice. It's something you can do if you want to make a variety of that. Let's go back to the face one here. Let me show you some other options that we have here. Let's go back to the microphone. This is something new that they've released in most recent updates. We used to just simply have this audio mixer, and you can control the volume out here. And, oops. Double click, it goes to the center. We can mute the microphone. This is something new that they've added. It's called the audio, I guess it's, if you want to call it audio mixer, there it goes, audio mixer. But it looks like a little faders on a little analog or digital mixer. So here you have the output, but then you have the option to see two different microphone options. We have the Mevo built in, and then it also recognizes that my iPad has a microphone, and I can turn them off by muting. Again, everything's off, even though my output's out. That is the iPad microphone, and I can adjust the gain on there. If I hit mute, everything goes all out. So you can do a combination of that. Double click to go to the center. And then it has this new thing called Add External Microphones with Mevo Mic. Download the Mevo Mic app to turn any phone into a microphone. This is new. So I haven't tried this out yet, but again, I'm really impressed with a lot of the updates and the releasing of new functionality. It's great. So that is the microphone. Let's go into the adjustment settings. Now in the adjustment settings, there's a lot of things. So let's look at them. Let's go to the first one on the bottom, which is called Normal. Basically, this is Mevo's general, we're going to take care of everything. We're going to take care of exposure and auto white balance and other things like that. I personally find that it usually overexposes some stuff. So right now, to me, that looks a little overexposed. But next to that, we have Custom. And again, whenever you change some of these things, it'll go to the Custom, and it'll remember what your last custom setting was. It has some presets. One's called Stage, and that probably might be more appropriate for the lighting I have right now. I have this big umbrella and these fluorescent lights shooting at me. You have your backlit option, and then you have outdoors option. So I haven't tried all of these. I basically look at the normal, and then I make some adjustments. But this is very new to, again, most recent updates. And let's go to the top of this little menu here. We have camera mode auto, which will allow us to go into two different modes. We can do shutter priority or full manual. We have exposure. I believe these are tenths of a stop, so I can decrease my exposure maybe by 3 stops. And we can do the same thing, go up 3 stops. If it is using that same kind of photography measurement of stops, let's just go back to 0. We have a shutter speed. Again, right now, because we're in full auto mode, it's kind of not letting us do that because it's grayed out. ISO setting. Then we have auto balance. Now we have some options to go to tungsten. Again, depending on your light, fluorescent, daylight, and cloudy. Pretty much standard type of white balance. And Mevo and Livestream and Vimeo, if you're watching, please give us a custom white balance. That would be great. Right now I have light bulbs that are kind of set to about 4000K. I'm working in a mixed light situation. It would be great to do a custom white balance. So hopefully we'll get that. We have brightness. Again, we can do it up to, I guess, tenths of something. I don't believe those are stops, but we have contrast, we have saturation, we have sharpness, and we have viewing angle. If you've watched one of my other videos, I talked about viewing angle. So let me show it to you real quickly. And I'm going to go to full wide. There we go. Let's go back to our adjustments. Viewing angle. This is probably a way to describe of the lens itself. It's kind of limiting itself. So, think about we're using, an 80mm lens, and then we just keep getting wider. We go to 35, or we go to 24, or we go to 16. That's kind of the idea where this is kind of a fixed lens, so to speak. So when I go to narrow, notice that the real estate just opens up. Okay. And I'm trying to hide all my stuff in my garage here. Let's go to the one called normal. All right, that's normal. And I'm going to stretch my arms out kind of straight, and my arms stretch about 6 feet. And let's go to wide. Woo! Now you can see how wide again. I'm just 24 inches away from this. And we'll go to full fisheye. Okay. So again, gives you some options here. I'm going to go back to flat, which would be our smallest. And if I scroll this over, we have some options for metering. We have 2 options. Number 1, the metering is according to the crop or according to wide. Right now I have it set to the crop, which means if I crop this, the exposure is going to change. It's going to meter according to this. Let's go and change this adjustment to crop to full wide. So it means that it's going to always consider what is the, this shot is going to keep that measurement. Notice as I go smaller, it doesn't get darker. Okay. Notice as I kind of close this up, how the adjustments kind of happen kind of quickly. Let's go back to our adjustments and let's look at some other things. We have flip, which is great. If you wanted to mount this camera upside down, maybe on the ceiling, and you could flip that image and you can use it kind of like a little eye in the sky, so to speak. We have the EIS, which is your image stabilization. We also have the last one, anti-flicker, in case you're working in a situation, like with fluorescent tubes and you get that flickering. This will help reduce that. And last but not least, it gives you 5 type of filters. We have high contrast, we have flat, black and white, vivid, which is I nicknamed it the Oompa Loompa, and we have the sepia. So let's go back to normal. I'm going to show you what I would probably do. And again, I'm just looking at my iPad, trying to make an idea of what I think would be right. Let's go into shutter priority. And again, what it does, it allows me to work with a fast shutter, which would give us a darker image. Okay. It does not let us change our ISO. However, if we go into full manual mode, which is cool. Again, this was not in the early releases. I can do my own ISO. Let's go down to 200. Let's do our shutter to 1/30th. Maybe a little darker. 1/40th. I can't adjust my exposure here. White balance, brightness. That's pretty good. Notice how when I put my hand in front of the camera, notice that it doesn't change my exposure, but it is changing my color balance. So, full manual, which would be good in case you have people moving around and you don't want to see all that adjustment of the exposure. You can go in full manual. Very cool. A couple more things before I close this video out. I want to show you on the bottom right hand, we have looks like a little mechanical wheel. This is our settings, and when you go in here, you can rename the Mevo to whatever you want to call it. I kept mine the same name there. Oops, sorry. It gives you a little advertisement for Vimeo to log in and join. Now, Vimeo does offer added support or options if you join their streaming program, which costs some money. Right now, you can use the Mevo via other live streaming destinations for free. Facebook, YouTube, I think. Let's see. Oh, it won't let me go there because we're recording right now. But think about it. If you don't have any kind of streaming account other than something free, you want to get a little bit more serious, it has an option to join that. Let's go into our audio and video settings. I can't change the frame rate because, again, we're recording. We could go into audio enhancements, but it just talks about using the built-in microphone to enhance those things. You can give it a setting for music or speech and function of noise cancellation. I don't really find them to be very helpful. Most of the time I'm using an external microphone. It has a mic pad, iPad audio, echo suppression in case you're using the iPad as some kind of monitoring device for the audio. When you put a phone and then people are talking on the radio, you get this kind of little echo. That kind of helps reduce that. The USB audio, it allows you to add, again, USB functionality through like an audio interface to add it to the mix channels. There are some zoom options you can have. I believe this is 3 times zoom. It says warning values 3 times may cause artifacts. So I found it to be fine just using it as is. If you want to adjust your timing of your tap and hold and your transitions, it says slow transition is set to 30. I'm not sure if those are 30 frames or 30. I don't think it's 30 seconds, but probably frames, I believe. I don't know exactly, but it's a value there. I'm going to skip over that. I'm going to go into Mevo settings. You can talk about adding a password. You can have the Mevo button have different things, which is great. I've set mine up to record to SD card. So in case I'm not there and I don't have the whole microphone set up, I can just give this to somebody. I say, turn it on, and then press that button, and it'll go to record directly to the SD or stream or whatever you would like to do. We have some speaker volumes here. When the Mevo turns on, how loud, I like it kind of low. And then it has a light ring. You can change the mode always on or hide or stealth mode. It gives you some animation color, which allows you to change the color. Some brightness of the ring. I like to keep it low because, I like the Mevo to be kind of a low profile, but you can make it brighter. Auto turn off and auto wide on app disconnect, which means returns to wide shot when app disconnects from Mevo. I've had this happen where I was live streaming and somehow the app got disconnected, and which is cool that the Mevo can still keep streaming even though the app has been disconnected. So it just basically goes to full wide shot, just to kind of save your bacon kind of a option. And lastly, studio mode. Studio mode is one of the options that is only available if you are using, I believe, Vimeo or Livestream. Again, Vimeo purchased Livestream, and we as a church are subscribers to the Livestream program. We're at like the first level, and this allows us to have our own little kind of channel on the Livestream network. We can post all our videos there. We can have some comments. We can alert people. It's a simple streaming service, but in addition to having, able to upload stuff and people to watch it later, we do get access to their software, which is called Studio 6. So if you're a subscriber to Livestream, I think the same goes for Vimeo as well. You can download this app, which is basically like a video system where you can have a bunch of cameras in there and different microphones and add lower thirds and do green screening keying. A lot of cool stuff in there if you ever were going to do like a live podcast and you have a lot of stuff going on. Studio 6 is their software, and so we do use it. But in addition to having whatever cameras you want going into the computer or the software, the Mevo camera can join in on the system because, again, same company. And the Mevo camera can be set up like an IP camera, or I think via the Mevo Boost with the Ethernet connection, or as long as it's on the same Wi-Fi network. The camera can be used as an additional camera. So I am going to try that eventually. Right now, we do our streaming just with 2 cameras. And so we haven't used the Mevo, but I'm thinking about throwing it there right in the front to be a 3rd camera. In one sense, it can be more than the 3rd camera. It can be, all the static shots that we can use. So that is a quick overview of the Mevo app and some of the things in there that I encourage you, if you've purchased one, dive into there. If you're curious about one, I think many of you have watched these videos because you're interested in purchasing one for your group or your church or your business. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them. I am not paid by Mevo, Livestream, or Vimeo. It would be great if they sent me out some stuff to review, but right now I've chosen these products. I like them. I use them on a regular basis, and I hope that whatever I can share with you would help you in achieving your goals. So thanks for watching this video, and take care.